Good morning, everybody. So, good morning. How are you today? It's a fast cold weather today, right? The session. So I was scared that I would not be able to come on time. Okay, so is everybody ready for the upcoming test in our next lecture? So next lecture will be Friday, right? Day after tomorrow, Friday, and we will have your test 3. On your test 3, we will cover from module 1 to 7. Okay, it's just cumulative. Mainly, we will discuss class, object, and one-dimensional array. Okay, class. So, but you need to use selection statement, loop statement, okay, print statements as well as. So if you followed my previous lectures and if you follow today's lecture, then you should be good enough to do well in the upcoming test. Okay, by the way, according to our schedule, today, this week, we are supposed to discuss two-dimensional array. But you know, as I gave more time and in our last lecture, and I want to spend some time today also to discuss one-dimensional array, because my understanding is that if you understand one-dimensional array thoroughly, then understanding two-dimensional array will be very quick for you. It's easy for you, okay? So give attention for one-dimensional array, then you should be good for two-dimensional array. It's easy. Maybe by next week we in one lecture I can discuss the fundamentals of two-dimensional array. Then in other 2 lectures I can discuss searching. Maybe I can start sorting, and in our review class I will take one class at least about sorting. Okay, and I will get one extra class on Monday. Okay, if needed we will review. So if you do agree, then I want to continue something more about one-dimensional array today, or if you like I can go to two-dimensional array. What do you like? Huh? Go to 2? Okay, I will quickly go to two-dimensional array, but let us see where did we leave in our last lecture. Okay, maybe this was the last program we discussed. This is the program we discussed in our last lecture. We wanted to display either elements at even place, even indices or word indices of an array, or we wanted to sum maybe the even elements or odd elements, or the elements located in even indices or odd indices. Anybody has any question about this? Okay, so one more thing maybe I can discuss. Okay, let's see. Okay. Okay. So how about if I want to, so this is my array, a simple array. If I want to increase every elements by 5. What should I do? I want to add 5 to each element of this array. So this will be 6, this will be 7, this will be 8, this will be 9, and this will be 10. Okay, okay, I don't need this, I don't need some at this point. Okay, can anyone please tell me how should I do? I need to start from index 0 and go to the wall of the indices, and what do I need to do? I want to increase each of the array elements by 5. So then I will do this by marks 1 plus equal to 5, right? So this is equivalent to marks I equal to marks I plus 5. Okay, then if I display my marks element, then I need to display within my for loop, right? Okay, then if I run this program, my origin, I'm sorry, somewhere it is, okay, I don't need this. So original array was length 5. So original array had element 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So then by displaying in 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I increased every element by 5. That is like something giving 5-point curving. Okay, 5-point bonus something. Okay, this is very simple way that if we want to increase or decrease of all of the array elements with a certain point, but with increment and decrement, but remember that this array is integer type array, right? So if I increase all element by 5 points, still it should be integer type, and for this array it is within range. But think about that, if I multiply, then it should work. But if I want to divide each of the elements by 5 points, then at that case, if I get a fractional decimal point for each of the loop, then I need to change my data type. I may need to create another array to hold the new array element. Okay, so I don't have time to discuss this, but maybe if I get time, then I will discuss this, but you can do yourself. Okay, where is that? And one thing I did in another section that I discussed, maybe I started in your section, I discussed how to find range of an array. So how to find range of an array. Range is the difference between max element and min element, right? So I can use a for loop to find the max element and min element, and I can calculate my range equal to max minus min. That's it. Okay, but for this problem is solved with a simple method. You see that how we pass an array as an argument of a function. So here the function is my find range function, right? So I passed an array as an argument. So when I am going to call this method, this is my decoration of my find range method, where I am going to call my method within my another method, for instance my main method. How do I call that find range method? I have to provide name of another array. So here I am calling this find range method by my marks array. Okay, over here, although I gave same name of this argument and also this same name, I could give different name, but whatever is there, when I select over here, you see that when I click on this marks, it is locating the marks on line number 29. Okay, but here I just need to give the name of the array, not with the sign, array sign. Okay. Okay, this is simple and same for all languages, C++, Java and C#. Okay, but if I want to update this method, give attention here please. If I want to change this method, for instance, like let me see. Okay, it works. Okay, this is in Java, right? This works in Java, and it will work with the same way, same fashion in C#. It will work for same fashion in C#. There is nothing difference. It will work, but people who are taking C++ lab, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so people who are taking C++ lab, give attention here please. I want to open this one. The previous program is same, exactly same, with for same problem with C++, but we need to implement this differently. In C++, we actually, an array is considered when we use an array, when we pass an array as an argument of a function, it is considered as a pointer. We did not discuss pointer yet so far in our program, but it is different. That for instance in C++, notice that in my previous program in Java and C#, I just use one argument, I pass the array, but here in C#, C++, we need to pass another argument, that is the length of the array. Otherwise it will not work. We need to pass this, okay, this length. So length, just I will use my length over here, but we need to calculate the length over here in my main method. And when I call the method find max method, for instance, or find range method, I need to provide the length. So length will be calculated over here. Okay, so if you can try this program, clone my project and try it, and then try that if you do not provide this L over here, length, then it will not work, because this is a limitation. This is implemented in C++. We use pointer. When Java and C# does not have pointer. So Java and C# they implemented handling pointer was difficult and a nightmare for programmers. So in Java developers, they got rid of pointer, and life is easy in Java and C#. So easily we can do this, but it's not too easy for C++. So I have my program over here. People who are taking C++ lab, please practice this, okay? And if you have any question, if you get struggle, please see me, okay? Anyone has any question? Okay, maybe it is time to update your slides because there were some changes or some updates in our slides. So if you downloaded the slides a few weeks back, so please delete your old copy and get a new one. Okay. So in our previous lectures, we discussed, maybe we stopped here, traversing an array, right? So far we discussed array processing and how to find the smallest or largest element of an array. So this slide, it shows maybe how to find an array element. So one is, as I told you, that one is common mistake that in order to find max or min element, but that is the largest or smallest element, we need to initialize the max or min element by the first element of the array. Do not initialize that by 0 or something, because what happens if you have an array with all elements negative or some elements negative, okay, well then, so if you do not initialize your array max or min value by the first element, it will not work. This is a common mistake. If you do not do this, you will lose some points in your test. Okay, how many of you will remember this? Please raise your hand. I want you to raise your hand so that you remember this forever. Okay, this is a common mistake that happens to many people. Okay, down your hand. Okay, so this is what actually we discussed. I discussed this. So I think you should be able to, let me see, I want to see if there is something new or if there is something I did not discuss. So just finding the max element, finding minimum element. We have programming C++, C# and Java. Okay, finding the sum of the averages. I think I discussed everything with live program, but okay, but review this, and still if you have any question, I will be here in my office today. If you have any question, then you can stop by, or we have our GTS to help you. Okay, by the way, Dr. Jeff Sestin, he conducted a review class yesterday. How many of you had over there? You are over there, right? So he said, he sent me an email in this morning that he recorded the lecture. I will check if I can download the lecture, then I will post it on my channel, or if I can share, I get a link, then I will share it with you. Okay, so please watch his review lecture at least one time. So that's all about one-dimensional array, but this is the foundation of an array. So if you understand this, sorry, these are my 1322 lecture slides, then you should be good to start two-dimensional array. So then if you understand two-dimensional array, then if you understand one-dimensional array, then working with two-dimensional array will be fun for you. Okay, we almost imply all of the rules that we discussed for one-dimensional array. Those are applicable in two-dimensional array. So a two-dimensional array is like a table. It's tabular format. When do we represent our data in a table, right? We have some rows and columns, right? Columns are vertical. Rows or record are horizontal. Okay, I'm not a native English, so it was confusing sometime for us to remember which one is column and which one is row. So then now we are taught that, so the column, we say the building is built with some columns, right? Columns are vertical. So that is a column. Okay, so we remember that way. Columns are vertical. Okay, and when you read newspaper, we see that go to the page 5, column 2nd, column 2 or 3, and columns are vertical. So here, this is a two-dimensional array structure. Actually, how it looks like. Actually, so these are the columns. 0 means first column. So our column, like one-dimensional array, our columns and rows start with 0 index. Okay, so this is my first column. So this is my first column, and this is my second column. First column has index 0 and second column has index 1. So then how many columns I do have here in this array? In this 7 columns, right? 0 to 6 means 7 columns. And how many rows I do have? 7. 0 to 6 means 7 rows, right? So here, each of these, the intersection of a row and a column, we go by row first. Okay, first row, then column. We go by row first. The first the first index is for row and the second index for column. Okay, so this is a cell. The intersection of a row and a column is, we call a cell. Each cell contains a value, only one value. A cell can contain only one value. The last value, the latest value, we provide in it. Okay. If there was a value previously and if we update the value, then the previous value will be gone. So this, the first index, very first index of the upper left corner, has address or indices 0, 0. 0 for row and 0 for column. And then all of these cells on the first row has row index 0. So this will be 0, 0, then column will be changing 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3, 0, 4, 0, 5, and it is 0, 6. So this is by this way, starting from left going to right, this is the traditional way that we traverse an array. But we could start from here and we could start from left, right to left. But that is not a traditional way. People feel comfortable starting from here, going to the right. Okay, so when we finish one line, traversing one line, we update the row by 1. So then here the row will be 2. So then we start, row will be 1, so from 0 to 1, right? Then we go 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 5, 1, 6. Then again we update the row by 2. And this way we go until all the way to the right down or bottom cell, that is the last cell of this array, is 6, 6, right? Here. Okay, so you know that since we have a row and column, but previously for our one-dimensional array did have only one row, or we say one column, actually whatever we say, one row or actually one column. So one column, so then we had only one column. So in that case we counted only from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, like only the row values we updated, right? So here we have both rows and columns. So in order to traverse, or in order to do operation on a two-dimensional array, so we need two indices, that means two looping. One is will call inner loop and another is called outer loop. Okay, so but look at this here. By this way, since our one-dimensional array did have only one column, if we consider one column, okay, so here there are multiple columns, right? So in that context, a two-dimensional array is called an array of array, an array of arrays. Okay, so if I say this is my first array, first column is my first array, second column is my second array, third column is my third array. So how many arrays I do have? I can say I have 7 arrays over here. So literally we can say a two-dimensional array is an array of arrays. Okay, so if you want to create or declare a two-dimensional array, we need to have two indices. Okay, the first one must go for row. You cannot say that my first one sorry, you cannot say that the first one is for column. No, first index value goes for row and the second index value goes for column. So since we have two indices, so we need to use two square brackets, one after two sets of square brackets, one after another, and you should not give any space in between. Okay, these should be adjacent. So when we go to declare an array, two-dimensional array, we need to provide actual value over here. Whatever value, say for my previous two-dimensional array, what will be my row number over here? Can you please tell me? 6 or 7? Huh? Yeah, don't be afraid. Okay, 7. Okay, I have since in my previous array I have 6 or 7. I have 7 rows, right, and 7 columns. So it should be 7 over here, and it should be 7 over here. The first one is the row number of rows, and second one is number of columns. Okay, and this must be constant. Okay, so this is in pseudocode format, but like one-dimensional array decoration, there is a difference between C++, C#, and Java. We will discuss this in maybe here. In some languages like Java and C#, we use, this is type over here, for instance int, and we need to use two set of square brackets. Okay, so these two sets will tell me that this is a two-dimensional array. Okay, if I want to declare three-dimensional array, for some reasons you need to declare two-dimensional array. For instance, if we want to put length, weight, and height, okay, of all students, age, maybe gender or height, so then we can have multiple indices, okay, that are called multi-dimensional array. So multi-dimensional array means more than two or more dimensions. So we are discussing so far two-dimensional array. Okay, and if you understand two-dimensional array, then you will understand three-dimensional, four-dimensional array by yourself. So here my array name is grid, is two-dimensional array. How do I know that this is two-dimensional array? Just by looking this, right? Okay, and this is an integer type array, and it has 10, it will contain 10 rows and 20 columns. right? So the difference is here only I have an extra set of square bracket and I have an extra dimension. So this is in Java format, and it is pretty simple in C, pretty similar in C plus C sharp, but there is a little difference here. You see that in Java we put two square bracket one after another, okay, but in C sharp we put one set of square bracket by separating them a comma in between, okay. So people who are taking C sharp lab, yeah, please give attention. Raise your hand, please. How many of you are taking C sharp? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, most of them are Java, okay. So yeah, so for C sharp people, I think this is easier for me. Okay, it's easy. So then first one, I'm sorry. First one, the first blank goes for row and the second blank goes for column. It's okay that if you do not keep blank space, it's okay. It will consider automatically blank space, but okay. So this is one line. See, do not forget that this is one line. This should be in one line. Okay, new. This is type again and then one column. For instance, this is my example of grid array, two-dimensional array. Since I put, so if I want to declare a three-dimensional array, so then I need to put another set of another comma, okay, and I need to put another constant over it. So this must be this size must be constant and must be integer number. You cannot put 10.5 or maybe 10.0. Okay, since number of rows or number of columns goes by number, okay, number means whole numbers, right, integer numbers. So you do not, maybe I did not try with, but you can try with if it takes point or not. It should get an error. Okay, now people who are taking C++. C++ is easier than previous two. Okay, so for C++, we do not need to use this int and then this data type. So just in C++, just put the type, and this is my array name, and use one set of square bracket and put the first index value, the number of rows, and the second index value, number of columns. They are separated by a comma. Okay, and also this works for both Java and C sharp, this format, although it is for C++, and this also for Java and C sharp. Like there was similar way was in it was one-dimensional array, right? We will try and we will see if it works in C++ and Java also. So this is the decoration, and if you understand this, then only you need to know only one thing more. Okay, just review. So that is you need to know one thing, that is the thing that is called, you need an outer loop or inner loop in order to traverse that element. But let us do a review, quick review. So if we say array, so this is the index 2 and 3, right? So is that which column and which row it is? Which row and which column it is? Row is third row, right? And column is fourth column. Like again, like one-dimensional array, okay? So 2 means third column. Don't be confused. Don't say that it is second column. 2 means second row. Third row, sorry. 2 means third row. do not be confused that this is second row. Okay, and 3 means fourth column. The intersection, this is the point of intersection of third row and fourth column. So if we insert a value 42 on that point, okay, on the intersection of third row and fourth column, so then we need to use this way. This format is for which language? Which language is this format? C# and C++. Okay, in Java, I would say, in Java, if it is in Java, then I would do like this. Sorry. Okay. Okay, so we need to know and do this operation. So actually, two-dimensional array has many purposes. For instance, if you want to design a game, okay, so our monitor is a two-dimensional space, right? It's a flat or a plane. A plane is a two-dimensional space. It has height and width, length or height and width. Okay, so in our graphical system, we say that upper left corner has 0, 0 coordinate system. But in nature, in our geometry, we say that our lower left corner has 0, 0, right? In geometry, we say lower left corner has 0, 0 coordinate, 0, 0, or that is called origin. But in graphical system, in computer system, we say upper left corner is 0, 0. Then we go first x-axis or length, we go by on right side, and we go height by down. This is the system. So if you want to design a game, then if you need to keep track of your object location or your mouse pointer location, then you need to use a two-dimensional array. Then it will tell us where your mouse is moving. But if you want to develop a three-dimensional game, that has maybe height also. Okay, so then you need another dimension. For instance, if you want to design a game that will move your object on a hill or a mountain or nearby a building, so you need height also consider. So then you need three-dimensional array. So, but I think if you understand one-dimensional array, then it's fine. So here the code will create a grid, an array, two-dimensional array named grid of size 4 by 4, right? So how many cells I do have for this array? 16, right? Starting from grid 0, 0, and all the way last element will be grid 3, 3. You understand why I am calling 3, 3 last cell? Okay, that's good. So here this is 4 rows and 4 columns. So initially, when you declare an array like this way, by default in most languages, consider that these values are initialized with 0. Okay. Okay. By the way, this column, this cell, then this cell, and this cell, and this cell. These cells are called diagonal cells, right? So this is a diagonal, so like 0 turns to 0, and this 0, 0. For diagonal cells, we have row and column equal to same. Row and columns are same value. So for this one, both row and column 0. For this one, both row and column 1. For this one, both row and column 2. And for this one, row and columns 3. So if we go to back maybe here, this one row and column 0, this one 1, both 1, this one both 2, both 3, both 4, both 5, and both 6. So if we draw a line that goes through this, okay, that will be a diagonal. So if you want to find the diagonal elements of a two-dimensional array, then we need to consider only these, this, and that, and that, and that. Okay, so now everyone understand this? So far, anyone has any question? How many minutes do you have? I have maybe 5 minutes, right? Okay, let me see that how many slides I do have. So since I have two sets of indices, one for row and one for column, right? So we need two for loop, one inside another. Okay, in order to traverse a two-dimensional array. So that then we will have, when you have two for loop, we could have the two for loop one after another, no, but we will have this for loop one inside another. So that inside the inside for loop, it is called inner for loop, and then outside for loop is called for outer for loop. Okay. So one thing that when so when we get some shipment from Amazon or eBay or somewhere, we usually get our item in a packet, and that packet is wrapped up with another packet, right? So how the packets are packed or taped? So the inner packet is taped first, right? Or wrapped first. Then the outer packet is wrapped. So that means whenever we have a loop inside a loop, we, for instance, this is inner loop, we need to start the inner loop later, but we need to close it first. Okay, this is my outer loop. I am starting it first, but I am closing it last. And say, for instance, if we say row 0, column 0, so then which value we should indicate? This one, right? If I say row 0 and column 0, then it will indicate this one. And if I increase, so the way we usually traditionally we do, we start one row and we finish that row, and when we finish that row, we go to the second row, and we go all of the columns to the to a row. Okay, so then at this point we will increment row or column. The next one will be, if we want to traverse the next phase, we will increment our column, not row. Okay, at this point we want to increment our column. Previously it was 0, and now I want to keep my row same, but I want to increase my column by 1, so it will indicate the second element. Okay, so here by the word, if I say the second element of a two-dimensional array, which one? So this is the obviously the first element, right? So there is a confusion, maybe this one the second element or this one the second element. Okay, this is the second element. Everyone understand? So do not get confused. So if we say second element of a two-dimensional array, okay, so this is the second element of a two-dimensional array. But for a one-dimensional array, if I say a one-dimensional array, this is the second element of a one-dimensional array. For one-dimensional array, we have only one column, right? So the first element is this one. Obviously, the second element will be this one. But for my two-dimensional array, since I have multiple columns, so my second element will be this one. Everybody understand this? Okay. This is a point of misunderstanding, okay? So maybe this is an interview question. So if you go for an internship or something, they will show you a chart, and they will maybe like that chart. chart of a periodic table for chemistry of elements. Okay, so if they say what is the second element of this chart, that is a two-dimensional array, right? A periodic table. Okay, do not be confused, please. Then what is the third element? So third element is this one, right? Then what is the fourth element? 0, 3 is the fourth element, right? Okay, then what is the fifth element? 1, 0, right? Okay. So if you understand this, you should be able to traverse a two-dimensional array. Let me see, and by this way we will go all the way end. This is the last element, right? With index 0 for row and 3 for row and 3 for column. Okay, so if you understand this, then this is good enough. Then in our next lecture we will discuss how to do programming with a two-dimensional array. Okay, that's for now. Anyone has any question? Okay, please bring your ID, KSU ID in your test. Okay, hopefully I will be here on time. Okay, in case I am late, please wait for me. Okay, thank you so much and have a good day.
Do you have something planned? Go ahead.
Give me 1 second.